Hey, what's up? Ryan here, and today we're going to get back to, is it safe to use ChatGPT at work? This is the second video in this series, and today we're going to talk about accuracy. There is a lot of talk out there about hallucination. In fact, if I just jump over into ChatGPT right off the bat, you'll see right here on the bottom of my screen, ChatGPT can make mistakes. And in fact, if I jump back to my personal account, it's going to say it here too. Check important info. You should know that ChatGPT is going to potentially hallucinate, that it's going to make mistakes. The simple fact of the matter is this is not a perfect machine that gives you back perfect, accurate answers. But just like talking to a random person on social media, we should have that same thing all across Facebook, in every post and in every comment, even on LinkedIn. Even on the news, we still have to have fact checkers. So the concept that AI is not perfectly accurate and might make mistakes or might hallucinate shouldn't be that strange, since the information that it was trained on is information created by us fallible humans. But let's talk about how you can, as an organization, think this through. So again, can I use ChatGPT at work? We're looking at these four main things. Is it secure? Is it accurate? Is it friendly? And is it effective? So the very first thing I suggest for organizations is to teach their teams how to judge how nasty something can be. How nasty is this project I'm working on? And the most important reason to do this is, hey, when we're starting out, we shouldn't take on the nastiest projects. We shouldn't take on the hardest projects. We should look for some easy wins. And an easy win to me is something that follows the NICE principle, right? It's low nasty. It has high impact, it's something we're confident we can make work, and it's easy. And that's how we should be thinking through the projects we want. But the best way to think about this nasty score is how private or secret is the information we're feeding it. And clearly, if it's up here on the high score, either A, don't do it, or B, ask yourself, how could we feed it some of that information and remove the parts that are making it so nasty, right? For instance, if I'm going to upload somebody's resume, I can remove their contact info. For instance, if I'm going to upload somebody's medical chart, I can remove the patient's contact information. I can remove personally identifiable information from the information I upload, which would lower that nasty score, even if I'm running it via the API and even if it's not going into language model. In the same way, I would do the same thing with other software. I don't just upload social security numbers to all my software platforms if it's not necessary. Now, on the right-hand side is the accuracy portion. How important is accuracy, and how widespread will the distribution be? Just think about that. There's a big difference between writing a funny blog post that goes to our employees and writing a serious academic paper that's distributed to our entire prospect base in our industry. Those have two different nasty scores on the accuracy side of it. So once again, how can I reduce how important or how widespread this is? Well, this one's really a little bit easier. And again, we do it all the time. Think about if you hired a brand new employee to write content for you. You would most likely review their work before you sent it out. AI is no different. This is why my number one suggestion for organizations is that you start at the top of the organization and work your way down, not at the bottom customer area. What I mean by that is I'm not going to take and build a tool to provide high-level technical support to our customers before I've actually built a tool that provides high-level technical support to our customer service team internally where they can check it. And I'm not going to do that unless I've created a high-level technical support tool that's used by the best of my best people where they can check it. And I'm not going to do that if my head of customer success or support doesn't even know how to use ChatGPT at all. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to work my way down, because this gives us the ability to slowly walk through these steps and to put what we call insurance in place. What is insurance? This concept comes from the book, The 5-Minute Manager and the Monkey. It's really quite simple. If you're going to create content, you should have a QC person check it first. And the more important that content is, and the wider spread it's going to be, and the more that important means accurate, the more I need to have QC done on it before we send it out to the crowd, just like you would do with a new employee writing a blog post. Now, accuracy, though, isn't just about the facts. It's not just about, is this true? It's also about, does it sound like us? Does it have our voice? And does it sound like us, meaning does it follow our message? Does it use our terminology and our lingo and the way that we talk about things as a corporate organization? Does it sound like us is actually as important or more important than even the truth side on a lot of content, because the truth of a blog post or a job ad isn't like the number one portion of accuracy. It's, does it sound great? Truth is much easier to check down as well at that point. So how do we go about thinking this through to actually nail the accuracy? Well, where a lot of this is coming into play is the idea that we're just throwing a prompt at the language model and receiving back a response. This language model knows everything about everything but nothing about us. Therefore, it doesn't know our voice and our message and our truth. Because if you think about truth like 1 + 1 = 2, that's a truth for everybody. But if you think about what are the requirements for an HR person at a certain company, that truth is a truth for one organization that's different than others. So if I'm, say, writing a job description and I throw a job description prompt at the language model for a human resource manager job, it's going to use all the knowledge it has about all human resource manager job descriptions it's ever seen and guess at what our truth is, because we didn't give it anything else. So how do we solve for that? Well, here's what the problem is. It doesn't know what knowledge we want it to focus on, therefore it's choosing it on its own. And it doesn't know what style we want the results in, meaning voice, lingo, messaging, phraseology, terminology, etc. So how do we solve for that? Well, you need to learn that this isn't just a request engine, it's a collaboration engine. You need to feed it your knowledge, collaborate back and forth to get it to the point where the information that it's relying on is accurate and your truth, and then provide it the style of how you want it to output. What do you want to sound like? What words, phraseology, structure? Not just witty and irreverent, but actually, how do you want it to talk about the subjects that you talk about? This requires more work. I get it. You can't just go buy a cheap prompt, throw it in there, and let it rip if you want to have great results. Your results from AI for you individually and your teams is going to be correlated to how mature you are and sophisticated you are at using it. In the same way that we could all hire a marketing admin to write a blog post, but our results are going to deal with how sophisticated we are at providing them with the tools and role and rules and ideas and concepts that they work from. So here's one solution. You build a custom GPT. The reason why building a custom GPT in your workspace is so powerful is because, number one, you can add in the knowledge bases you want it to focus on. Number two, you can provide it instructions of how to guide the collaboration. Number three, you can provide it with frameworks of how you want it to talk and the style and structure. You can create this structure so that it works in a consistent manner with a GBT. Another option that we use is you can do that same structure even in a third-party tool. Our solution does this same thing, only it does it on the fly because it's remembering you when you come back into the piece. You come back into our tool and it goes, oh, I know you. Oh, I know what your language model is. Oh, I know what your vocabulary is. I know all of these pieces, and I'm going to load them into the conversation so that you reuse them over and over again. This is how you make the use of ChatGPT safe. I didn't say this is how you make it easy, but easy isn't going to get you to safe, and it's definitely not going to get you to effective. It's just going to make it quick for you to get to something that you're not happy with. So, tune in again next time, and we'll move on to the next word.